Good evening and welcome to this week's episode of Sunday Night Live, your favorite automotive show where we talk about all things automotive. Front of the store, back of the store, middle of the store, doesn't even matter. The better we all are, the better the experience for everybody. Oops. And I wasn't quite sure if this was going to work today because I had a molar extraction yesterday. And it was quite a bit more painful than I had anticipated. So it required some painkillers, but better than 24 hours later, they seem to be working just fine. So I think we're going to be okay. So thanks for tuning in. I have with us two special friends of mine, Cathy Lynch and Elenour Butler, with Absolutely Automotive Warranty Training. Warranty is one of those things that it's crucial to the success of a dealership. But not everybody can do this job. You know, it takes a very special person that understands all of the intricacies, the codes, the rules, what has to be done and when. So these ladies are highly experienced in it. And I'm very excited because they're going to share with us some best practices as to how we can improve at our store. So ladies, welcome. And why don't you tell everybody a little bit about yourselves before we get started?
Thank you. Well, my name is Cathy Lynch, and I've been a warranty administrator since 2001. Cut my teeth on Toyota, and it's still my favorite, although I do handle other car lines. It's been an incredible journey since we started in 2017. I cannot believe we were just finishing up our 5th year. So we're looking forward to some great stuff in 2022.
Awesome. Elenour?
I'm Elenour. I do the business part of things. I like to play with schedules and accounting and all that good stuff. My specialty is accounts payable, accounts receivable. I like to figure out the puzzle. But my specialty also is I can do Nissan, I can do Chevy, and sometimes on a good day, I can back up and help out with Toyota. So as I'm going along, I'm learning as much as I can because that's the goal in training. So I've been doing warranty since 2007, and the best part of it is the training.
Awesome. Well, we met at a Fixed Ops Roundtable out west, and that was just an amazing time. And I never forget the warranty codes are rattling off left and right. It just left a stamp on my brain, and I said, "Wow, this woman knows warranties." Because anybody that knows the codes front to back, that's somebody that does it a lot. And as with anything, the more you do something, the better you get at it. So from that moment on. And then there was, of course, the random stranger group selfie that we did. I introduced you guys to that bizarre concept.
Oh, it was so much fun. Fabulous. I look forward to seeing your stranger selfies now.
All right, we got a couple of comments. First and foremost, we have Mike Vogel, the coach.
Hey, in.
He says, "Hi, Paul, Cathy, and Elenour, all extraordinary people. Thank you." And I want to let everybody know that Mike Vogel is my de facto vegetarian coach because I'm doing the transition thing. I'm not fully there yet, but I'm well on the way. And I've achieved some remarkable health results because of that. And what I love about Mike is that he doesn't push it on you. He kind of waits for you to get there on your own. And then when you get there on your own, he's there with encouraging words and just some great supporting documentation stuff. He's turned me on to some great documentaries that have really been beneficial. So Mike, I want to publicly thank you for what you do and who you are, man. And we have Robert Sebastian, my other Fixed Ops brother. You should be a lot of fun on meds, Paul. You're already fun without them. Oh, the meds was like a while ago. So yeah, should have no effect at all. Orlando Spencer, hey guys. Oh yeah, right. As I say, no effects at all. I screw up the word.
All right.
Robert says, hello, everyone. And Jerry Davis, warranty admin is the unsung heroes of the dealership, for sure. They're the ones that get screamed at the loudest when stuff doesn't get paid.
Yes.
Yet they're not the first one invited to the party. I hate to say it, but that's just the reality of life in the warranty world. And Mike Vogel says, Warranty 101 class starts now. These ladies can teach your staff as well as clean up schedules and keep you out of those dreaded warranty audits. They are truly the best.
And
awesome.
Mike is one of our biggest cheerleaders, and we've always been incredibly appreciative because we've learned a lot from him too.
The beauty of this business and the community that we're building is that we all learn a lot from each other. And that's why, I love doing the show on Sunday nights, because I bring on folks like you that share your expertise with the audience. And I always say, if you pick up just a little bit, and that helps you in that with that next customer or that next claim or whatever it is that makes your life easier, then we've won. So why don't we start with an overview of national dealership standards?
Well, basically, one of the things that we can help out with dealers is being able to give a broad picture. In other words, let's say we notice that one dealership is doing more batteries than any other dealership that we work with. Well, that's something we can talk to you about. Are you using high labor ops too many times? Are we doing too many batteries? Are we doing too many brakes? Are we doing too many transpan gaskets? I mean, it's an overview that we can see from different parts of the country. And not only that, but one of the things that we watch for is patterns. In other words, let's say we start seeing all of the dealerships suddenly doing power steering gears. Then we can kind of put out an alarm and say, hey, we're seeing an uptick across the board in power steering gears. And when you see something like that as a warranty administrator, that's when you want to talk to your shop foreman and say, hey, you need to start putting in product reports to the factory and let them know that there's an issue. And then they can start looking at it. And if you get enough people calling in and saying, wait, we're all having a problem with power steering gears, then that's when the factory can go in and go, oh, wait, we need to put together a bulletin. We need to figure out if there should be a campaign. So when you've got a broad view and you can notify your service departments what's going on, you can kind of get a leg up on what needs to be done in your service department.
Now, the thing about watching for patterns and trends and things like that, it's good because sometimes it's what you just described, but other times it could be either somebody's not doing something properly or somebody needs training, right?
That's correct.
If a particular dealership, let's say, they're replacing more CVTs than anybody else, and they're not necessarily the top volume store. Now that should send a red flag off that either somebody needs to be trained, or a technician needs to be trained, or somebody needs to be looked at because maybe it's not the technician, maybe there's something else at play.
And that's one of the things that I like to try and watch for is let's say I do see that there's more of one particular kind of repair than the dealership. Then I start tracking it down to the tech or the advisor. And I can sit there and say, okay, wait, tech number 123 does more of these repairs, not only than anybody else in your dealership, but anybody else in the country. We need to stop right now and have a discussion. Right. Maybe that tech needs to review things with the service manager or review things with me and say, what's going on? Is it just a minor issue that can be repaired easily and you're just jumping into replacing a part, or what's going on here? So it does give us an opportunity to dig a little deeper and find out what's going on. And every warranty administrator should do that.
And that's kind of where AAWT comes into play as far as one of the things that we offer we offer on-site training. So we can go on-site and we can sit back and be the eyes, and we can just assess where their strengths and their weaknesses are, or where their divide is, or where the service is against the parts department, or what they can do to streamline. Maybe someone has a strength that can work with somebody else, and they learn off one another. And that's part of one of the things that we offer, because training on site makes everybody comfortable in their own space.
Yes.
But also, it also allows us for a refresher. Every day, we're learning something new. In this automotive industry, everything changes rapidly, quickly. Whatever was the rules yesterday does not necessarily mean it's going to be the rules tomorrow. And that's across the board with all the manufacturers. But one of the cool things also about us is during this whole COVID, thing, and everybody was kind of scrambling and they had skeleton crews, we were able to do remote training because we were already set up for it.
Right.
We were already at home work based. And so connecting through sites like TeamViewer or something like StreamYard, or there's multiple platforms that we were able to use and not leave our home and keep everybody safe while everybody was in, per se, the bubble. And so that was one of the nice things about training remotely, was that was something else for us to put into play that we didn't know we were going to be able to use, which over the last 2.5 years improved business, and we were able to keep the doors open for the dealerships and cover someone's desk, while they were out or whatnot. So that was an interesting experience.
The car business, it's very resilient, and we tend to adapt to stuff that gets thrown at us in ways that surprise most of us, because we've not always been known as the first ones to adopt to change. But in the face of adversity, we've kind of had to roll up our sleeves and jump in and do things that we didn't want to necessarily do. But the great thing is the show must go on. My girls from birth, I've always told them, life boils down to a car deal, right? I relate the way a dealership works to the way your life works. And you need to always be going. So when you weren't able to go in, the business still had to get done. And by being able to go in remotely, you're able to help them continue on the path while keeping everybody safe. Now, I've got a couple of comments I want to get to here. Roger Gutierrez says, hello, everyone. And Jerry Davis says, so where can someone find that type of digging reports in the FCA warranty world?
What
In the FCA is that's, I'm sorry, but that's a term I'm unfamiliar with.
You don't do Chrysler, Fiat Chrysler automobile.
Okay, that would be.
What reports are they looking?
What reports are you looking for, Jerry?
Are you looking for like a warranty? In Toyota world, we call it a WPI, and it tracks our warranty, labor, ops, our cost per VIN, things like that.
What was
Is that the type of thing thinking about, Jerry?
Yeah, let us know, Jerry. And Joe Chambers says, hey, everyone, glad to be here. Welcome, Joe, one of my SDL brothers. It'll be Sunday morning at 7 a.m. Central, 8 a.m. Eastern. We put on a great show. It's all about the service department. Oh, trend reports, Jerry says.
Trend reports.
So be sure to contact Joe.
Yeah, Jerry, the trend reports should be provided for you by your factory rep. They should be sending them to you every month, and it'll show you your high labor op usage, your cost per VIN, your travel time. They should be providing you with something like that every month. I know they do with other car lines, and I'm assuming they do with Chrysler as well.
some reps will send out quarterly reports.
Oh, quarterly instead of monthly? Yeah.
Some manufacturers will. Just depends on the rep.
Mike Vogel. Oh, hold on a second. Mike Vogel said, Cathy and I set up tracking report to spot repairs by technician to help identify possible issues and or fraud.
Yes, the fabulous spreadsheets. Yes, you can do it on your own at the dealership. You can set your rep is horrible. I'm sorry, Jerry. Well, what you can do is set up a spreadsheet. We're getting really into Google Docs now too. We're having a lot of fun with that. But you can set up a spreadsheet, and in the spreadsheet, you can put in the RO number, the date, the dollar amount. You can even split it between parts and labor, put your advisor and your tech name on it. And then every month you can run that report after the best thing to do is find out after it's approved by the factory, because that's where it's really going to go into your cost per van. But you can put all that in a spreadsheet, and Mike's the king of spreadsheets, but I'm starting to beat him to it. So I've got some stuff that we're working with now, Mike. I think you'd be very proud of us. So
we're growing.
And, you know, I'm Eleanor's pushing me to change in the right direction. She's a good gal to have on my side. So
JB Floyd says, interesting, good stuff. And Eric says, good evening. Bring on the knowledge, all ears. Eric's another one of my SDL brothers.
Cool. Well,
so on-site training, is that something you set up weekly, monthly, annually? How does that work?
It all depends on what the dealer's specific needs are, because what the guy down the street is not necessarily the same needs of the current client. We like to do an annual refresher for our clients, but let's say they have large turnover. COVID was an example. That's where remote training came into play. Let's say you had some people that got promoted, and so positions changed, and they knew a little bit, but they needed some fine tuning. So that's where training on site would become available, where we could see what exactly they know, where they need some fine tuning, and also show them where in the labor ops or the flat rate manual or the recalls, how to pull them up to follow, because the technician should be following it just as well as, you know, they can't just turn in an RO and expect it to get paid just because they punched that much time if they don't have complete documentation. So it just all depends on what the specific dealership's needs are.
And you teach them basic stuff like, you know, how to write the cause correction, all that stuff?
Oh, well, yes.
Yeah. In a perfect world, sometimes they come from a different manufacturer. Let's say they come from Chevy and they're in the Toyota world. Two different worlds. But you can bring in your Chevy knowledge, but show them how to use it in the Toyota world. And it's you learn by doing. I could tell you all day this, that, and the other. I can give you labor ops, but if I can't tell you how to navigate, how to find the labor ops, or how to get the most dollars, or how to get the tech the time that he's deserved and get that completed, then, you know, how am I supposed to know exactly what you need versus the guy who sits next to you? So sometimes when you go in and train 2 or 3 people, they're like, oh, I didn't know that. Oh, you didn't? And then the 2 of them start to communicate, which is nice because then they realize they're on the same team, which is something we encourage within the dealership.
And Mike Vogel says, with Cathy's help on a Toyota Assist visit in regards to Corolla fuel pump replacement, we discovered that we were high because we sold the most Corollas in the LA market. Toyota reps didn't know that before coming in. We found through the sales side.
So, and that goes along with what we were going to kind of talk about next, which is the team building and making sure that everyone understands that we're all part of a team. And you can't just say, well, I'm the parts department, so we only do this and pay attention to this. Or I'm the service department, so we only pay attention to that. We need everybody to understand that we're all working together. And what the parts department does directly affects the service department, which directly affects the business department, which can ultimately, in some ways, affect the sales department. And if you've got everybody working on the same page, even having a meeting at the very least once a month with your sales teams and saying, here's what we're running into. Here's what we need the customers to understand when you're selling a vehicle. Here's the kind of warranty you have on this. Oh, you're in California, you get this kind of warranty on your emissions. So we want to encourage, when we go into train, one of the big things we do is we make sure we go into every department and meet everybody and see how they're doing things and see how they are working together. Because that's a make it or break it situation right there. If you've got everybody saying, well, I'm in my own little world and I'm not going to worry about what they're doing over there or what they're doing over here, that's not going to help the dealership as a whole. It's kind of the whole thing of, well, that's not my job, which is, I hate hearing that. You know, it's everybody's job to help the dealership succeed. So if we all have an understanding of how things, happen, it's like the worst thing I hate is when I call up the parts department and say, well, why didn't you charge out this part? Well, I didn't know they were doing this and this and this. It's service's fault. And then I talk to service and they're like, well, they should have known that when they saw that come through. And it's like, okay, guys, let's all talk to each other. Let's not close an RO if we don't see it done correctly. And that's a big thing right now is I always prefer when we close the tickets on our end, because then I can make sure everything's there where it's supposed to be and I can call and yell at who I need to yell at. But ultimately, if you're working before a ticket is closed, you need to make sure that everything from every department is on there that's supposed to be on there. Is there supposed to be a sublet on there? Is that the business office that puts that on there? Are all the correct parts on there? Is your CCR good? Is everything good? Did everyone do what they were supposed to do? And so that's how we have to make sure that everybody realizes we're all on the same team together.
That's a great approach, because by having all of the departments being familiar with this process, when the shit hits the fan, so to speak, they can be more empathetic and they can relay the situation more to their customers to avoid a problem. Most of the problems that happen today are because of communication or lack thereof. So the more people that are familiar with the process and know what some of the problems are, the better that can be explained to the customer. Look, I'm a consumer like you guys are, and stuff happens. But if I'm told up front, look, this is what you can expect because of these 2 or 3 things, I'm going to be a lot more understanding. And the whole thing is, you're going to avoid problems that way. So I want to get to a couple of comments. Joe Chambers says, any experience with Jaguar Land Rover? Sorry, missed the intro.
Not currently at this time, but we can make it happen.
We love learning new stuff. It's like Elenour said a little earlier. We kind of make it a goal for all of us to learn something new every day. And we've got a great team who also loves to learn something new every day. So not there yet, but boy, we can have a conversation and we can get going on that.
You know what I like about that is that imagine an engineer, a mechanical engineer that comes over from Europe. They know engineering like nobody's business, but they come here. They may not necessarily know the language, but learning the language, they can still apply the same engineering principles. So just because you don't have experience necessarily with a particular OEM doesn't mean that you can't gear up quicker because of all of your vast experience with the other ones that you do work with.
But also, we may know somebody that we could, have you reach out to that can provide that service for you.
Yeah, we do try to
working. So that's
we try to network. We network with a lot of other outside people. We know a lot of outside people, and we can usually make a phone call and say, hey, we don't handle this line, but do you, or do you know somebody who does? And we can hook them up. I mean, we all, there's enough business out there for us all to share. So
awesome. Jerry Davis says, the better the story, the better the pay on a claim.
I agree. That's where efficiency comes into play and documentation. The more, I would rather have more in a story, a complete complaint, a complete cause, a complete correction. I would rather have more than not enough. That is across the board. I mean, after all, it is a legal binding document. And sometimes I think that they're trying to get them through the door faster, and they're just setting the RO to the next person. Okay, I've done my part. Let's just pass it on. Well, that's where we implement the 10-second rule. If each person would just stop, take 10 seconds, and from the top to the bottom, review what they put in there or what they didn't put in there, and they could catch it, that would also save on the travel time in the RO. And that's less time that the RO is from its inception to the end, and it pays to the dollar, then it's sitting on your schedule for longer than it should if you would just do it right the first time instead of passing the buck. And again, that goes into play with team building. I don't want to just be an advisor, write up the ticket, and then send it off to the service department. And that goes into what Cathy was saying, where the parts department, you call them and it's like, hey, there's supposed to be a part. Well, I didn't know that. Well, if it's not in the story that was what was broken, or that was what was replaced, or that's what was removed, how is the parts department supposed to know that? So again, more in the story is better in the story. That's always been my motto. So
I guess stories sell across the board, whether it's on the retail sales side or in the back of the house.
Well, and it's the whole thing about, give me the novel. Give us the novel. And then when we submit the claim, we'll make the cliff notes. But if we've got the whole novel there, we've got all the information, and we can break it down the way it needs to be broken down. So
that saves time having to chase somebody to find out more. It's easier to condense than it is to try to figure out what was in somebody's mind or in front of their eyes.
And trying to track somebody down. Oh, he's off today. Okay, so then tomorrow you're off, and then here we are 3 days later, and we still haven't connected, and that RO's now at the bottom of the stack. So,
or he's on the test drive.
Yeah, or he's on test drive.
That's another good one. Yeah.
Or he's looking for the next car he's supposed to be working on because nobody knows where the keys are.
Or he tested positive for COVID, so he'll be back in 3 weeks.
Yeah.
That's been the new norm, but we're getting past that. So positive.
Thankfully, yes.
Positive.
Joe Chambers says the power of the pen or keyboard. And Katie Lamphere says, what do you find to be the biggest challenge in getting claims to be paid? Biggest area of opportunity to train on for best results?
That's going to vary from dealer to dealer. But a lot of what we were just talking about, the story, that can be so critical. I cannot tell you how many times we've had claims that rejected simply because it wasn't clear enough in the story what happened. For instance, if you just use the word broken, well, we know something's broken. That's why the customer brought the vehicle into the dealership in the first place. What your factory wants to know is what caused the part to fail. Or when you get the old repaired vehicle as your remedy. Well, that doesn't really tell you what
you to repair the vehicle exactly.
So I think if you're going to give it a base, then getting that CCR great is going to be your baseline, because that is one of the first things that the factory looks at when they're going through a claim. Is they're going to look at that story, and they're going to go, wait a minute, we don't know what's going on here. We don't know what really happened. And so I think that one is really big. And as far as opportunity to train for best results, talk to your techs and advisors on a regular basis. I mean, weekly for a while, and then make it monthly maybe. But you've got to get them to understand that these, as Elenour said earlier, these are legal documents. This isn't something to screw around with, because the owner of your dealership signed a franchise agreement. And in that franchise agreement, the owner agreed to follow all the policies and procedures of the factory, and that all of the owner's employees and representatives will also follow all the policies and procedures of the factory. So it's important to help them understand, we want to stay out of an audit situation. We have to have good paperwork. We want to get paid on our claims. We have to have good paperwork. We want to stay in the factory's good graces and survive a potential audit. We have to have good paperwork. And so I think really regular meetings with your techs and advisors, and if you're seeing the same thing come up over and over again, then that, of course, has to be addressed first. And then you start getting into detailed stuff. So you do an overview, and make sure that you're doing that on a regular basis. And then you go in the nitty gritty when you see one particular problem popping up over and over and over again, like you're never getting your battery test codes. You know, you need to figure out how you can help everyone remember. Sometimes it's a check sheet. I've worked with dealerships. I'm working with a dealership now that they have a check sheet for everything that they're supposed to make sure is included on a warranty ticket. And they're supposed to look through that sheet on every single warranty RO and sign it and date it. And obviously, if they sign and date something and I'm looking at the RO and I'm going, no, that's not on here, even though they dated it, then I can go back and say, hey, you said that you dated or that all the info was on here and you signed this. So what's the problem? Why is this not on here? So that's your techs and advisors. That's where you start, and then move on from there.
So you're suggesting a WPI?
Yes.
Warranty point inspection.
Yes.
Checklist.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. I think that's one of the greatest things that one of the greatest tools that you can use. And it's so important that management is involved with all this stuff. It's important that management backs up the warranty administrator, and make sure that everyone understands these documents are required. This isn't just something we're suggesting. This is part of your legal documentation. We've got to have those battery test codes, and we've got to have those rental invoices and those sublet invoices and those machining. We have to have those DTC codes. We have to have all that stuff to make the document legal and stand up in court. So that documentation is really important. And again, that the best way to do that is make sure management is backing up your admin 100%.
And it's so crucial, because the last thing you want is an audit, because when you get an audit, it just becomes a nightmare for the store. You've got to come up with paperwork sometimes that, paperwork ends up missing often. And if you're found to have missing documentation, that could cost you a whole lot more.
Yeah, those battery slips get disconnected from an RO all the time, especially when, like you say, an audit. Last thing you want them to do is come in and say, pull me these random 15 ROs. Well, this is missing, this is missing, this is missing. Well, now you're officially on their radar. So now, I guess that's where compliance comes into play. They're going to know that you're not compliant. What are you not doing wrong? We'll see you again in 3 months. Nobody wants that.
Or what else are you doing wrong?
Exactly. So, battery test codes, serial codes, as Cathy said, before and after serial codes. Those are a big one. But it's another thing if they would just include that in the story in case those slips get lost in translation underneath the 1900 staples on top of the RO by the time it gets to the warranty administrator.
Yeah.
If it's included in the story and written on the hard card, you've got 2 out of 3. So most times they're forgiving. But that's just been my, am I wrong on that, Cathy, as far as?
No, I mean, they might slap your hand a little bit. But if it is written on the RO and it's written in the story in the CCC, then usually, especially if for the most part, your dealership's in good shape with warranty, then they'll be a little more forgiving. The nice thing is, I don't know what's happening as far as the battery test codes with some of the other car lines, but now with Toyota and Lexus, the battery Midtronics testers now can actually go to an email. And so I have my dealers include me on that email. So I get all the battery test codes. And yeah, that means I would get about, 300 ROs a day, emails a day. But that way I've got it right there. It's documented. It's the same email that goes to the factory to tell them what the test code was. And I can pull it straight off of there, just a cut and paste. So I don't worry if I'm doing a typo or anything like that. And then again, if we have that issue where the slip has disappeared off of the hard copy, I can scan it into the scan of the hard copy and they've got it right there, that documentation. So there are ways.
There's nothing better than a fail-safe backup, because you set up the roles, they can go into specific folders. So if it ever came to pass, you're covered. Before we go too much further,
the number in the body of the email. So number, then that works.
Are you saying somebody would miss something in an email? No way.
No way.
All right, I want to bring just something to everyone's attention right now. Getting cars, extremely difficult. Okay, unrelated to warranty, but extremely difficult. There's something coming, and I want you to see this.
Getting good offers on your trade-in is a hassle for sellers, and finding and sourcing quality local trade-ins is a challenge for dealers. That's why there's DriveBid.com. DriveBid.com is the world's first open market competitive vehicle trade platform. Unlike other platforms, our site is completely free to sign up. No contract, no minimum, no required spend. Our 100% consumer-generated marketplace means you're free to participate, free to bid, and free to source inventory. Dealers only pay when a trade is bid locked. With DriveBid.com, consumers will get top dollar for their vehicle, and dealers will have access to a huge selection of privately owned vehicles in their market, along with detailed information on both the vehicle and seller. And DriveBid.com offers both buyers and sellers a safe, secure transaction. Banks compete for mortgage rates. Isn't it time for dealers to compete for trades? DriveBid.com, rolling out summer 2022. Join now for free.
So it's a valuable resource. If you want to find out more information, reach out to me. You can either message me on LinkedIn or call me directly, or you can go on our website and fill out a form to contact us.
Okay, go.
All right, we got a couple of comments that have come in. And let's see here. Joe Chambers, if we're being honest, it's usually on the parts side.
And it's funny.
Says every service department.
Yeah. And then every part says, oh, heck, it's not our fault. Service should have told us about this. So.
Oh, that never happens, Cathy. That never happens. JB Floyd says, being transparent is what it's all about. And Mike Vogel says, build the DMS report of warranty ROs completed yesterday. 2, FOM holds and reviews hard copies. AAWS, Cathy, and Elenour run report every day results equals reduced WIP. Reduced warranty receivables, reduced unapplied labor. Seems pretty simple to me.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's just a matter of getting everybody trained to get that documentation together on a regular basis for every single RO. And once you can get everybody on the same page, that's gold. So then Elenour is going to talk to you a little bit about compliance and making sure your travel time's good.
Well, if everybody works together, like I said earlier, and they just get it done right the first time and take that extra time, we're spending less time on that RO. It gets lost in translation, and the sooner we can finish it completely from the beginning and get it submitted, paid, closed, and off the schedule, great. Open your, as Mike said, he's worked with us a long time. If you can do your open RO report every day, and you can get as much done because it's complete, your stories are there, everything is booked out again, that reduces the travel time of the RO from the very beginning to the very end. And especially when it lands on my schedule and I have an outstanding balance, it's because somebody didn't remove the core, or somebody didn't return the core, or the claim got debited back. I don't like those. It helps you with your efficiency. It helps you stay compliant. And the more you do it, the more you work as a team together, you grow together, and you streamline together. So that takes the travel time for the RO down tremendously. You can process more in a more efficient manner, in a more timely manner. And then you're not sitting there with those huge open RO lists at the last day of the month or right before payroll, and you're wondering where all these claims came from, that are dated the beginning of the month. Like, where were those documents? Now they're pre-invoiced, and now they're in my open RO report. So again, that's where travel time comes into play. And again, staying compliant. Less time we spend on an RO repeatedly, the less time for the RO to travel from beginning to end, from creating to submitting to closing it to it getting off the schedule with the payment.
Robert Gutierrez says administration should be including management in all correspondence. Absolutely.
Absolutely, I agree.
Yep.
I keep bringing up the coach, and I probably shouldn't, but he was a good teacher, and he was very hands-on. He probably still is, as you said. The more your service and parts director is involved with the parts manager, the service manager, the advisors, the warranty admin, the more that service and parts director knows what's going on, he always knew what was going on. You weren't getting nothing past him. He'd get there a half hour early to get in front of it. That's the kind of service department you want to work for. That's the kind of service and parts director who's running the ship. If you have a good service and parts director, you're going to have a smooth transition inside your dealership from beginning to end.
Yeah, and it's not even a matter, it's like one of the things, I saw something recently about, are you micromanaging? And a really good parts and service director, fixed ops director, doesn't necessarily micromanage, but they have to have an understanding of what is expected in each department and what is expected of each employee. And the employees need to be able to feel comfortable enough to go to that director and say, I'm having a real challenge with this, and feel like they're getting heard. They want to be heard. And I'd be willing to bet if you talk to any warranty administrator in the country, their biggest complaint is, I'm not being heard. We get blamed for a lot. And most of the time, when you've got really good warranty administrators, it's not the warranty administrator's fault. It's because they're not getting the information they need to get the claims paid quickly. And the factory keeps rejecting the claims, saying, well, we need this and we need this and we need this. And the poor warranty administrator is literally running around the dealership trying to get information that should have been there from the very beginning. And so what we ask of the service directors and the service managers and the fixed ops directors is please listen. Please listen and take your warranty administrator claims concerns seriously, and see what you can do to help streamline the situation, and see what you can do to help the process be smoother. And don't just automatically assume that if a claim hasn't paid, it's your warranty administrator's fault, because usually it's not.
Right.
You know, or your additional dollars. How much are you leaving on the table? Do you know that you can get freight for certain things? Do you know that you can get exchange handling fees for certain things? Are you getting all the little sublet, oils and fluids and tape and grease and everything else on your ROs? Are you getting the proper rentals charged out that you're entitled to if you're actually putting the customer in a rental? So that's another thing that we want to make sure that everybody is understanding is, are you getting everything that you're entitled to get? And again, that's a matter of making sure everybody understands what's okay and what's not. Reading all those new bulletins as soon as they come out. Reading all those new campaigns as soon as they come out. They'll tell you exactly what you're allowed to get on all these. So
You're so busy at the stores from morning to night. There's no way, absolutely no way you can be on top of everything, which makes you guys, gals, a very valuable resource. You know, the way I like to equate it is, there are a lot of people that use these do-it-yourself tax services, right? TurboTax or some of these other ones. Okay, and for the most part, they work okay. But there's a certain value in having an accountant that lives, breathes in this space, that knows all of the nuances that you just mentioned, that can look out on the dealer's behalf. Because guess what? Little dollars in volume add up to a lot of money. And these aren't things, if I ask everybody out there that's in a store, how much extra time do you have during the course of your day? Who wants to answer that one? I gotta know the answer.
Extra time? That's
extra time.
That's not even a real thing. I'm gonna leave Thursday because next Tuesday, when it's month end, I'm gonna be here real late. Like, that's not realistic.
no.
Right.
But one of the cool things also is, if we're seeing a pattern like Cathy mentioned earlier, or if we're seeing something that's happening more on the East Coast versus the West Coast, we can say, hey, did you know? And share that knowledge and that information as we're finding out ourselves. Because there's times we get phone calls. It's like, hey, so how do I do this? You know what? I don't know. I haven't come across that. Let me make a phone call and I will get back to you. Because we're not going to know all the answers all the time. You can't train on something if you've never seen it come across your desk before.
Exactly.
So if I don't know it in this specific manufacturer, let me see if I can reach out to somebody who does that manufacturer. So like, I'll use Nissan as an example. Okay, so let's say I get a call from a dealer and they want to know about, let's go with a water pump on a Rogue. Okay, there's so many things that could go wrong with that. If I don't know the answer to that question, I'm not going to sit there and lie to you like I do. I'm going to say, you know what? I don't know that answer, but let me make a phone call. Let me get back to you. And I'll call somebody who I've networked with. Hey, anybody running into this issue with the, the 2019 Rogue water pump issue? Is anybody seeing anything with this? They may have seen a bulletin or a recall or got information from their rep or their FOM or whatever the case may be. And
Not Jerry's rep, though.
I'm sorry?
Not Jerry's rep, though.
No, not Jerry's rep.
Not Jerry's rep. That's Chrysler. It's a whole nother beast. But what I'm saying is, though, because of the networking and because of the training we do nationwide, we're able to see some of the stuff that maybe that specific dealership in California is not seeing, or that specific dealership in Texas is not seeing, or in, you know, New York, they're not seeing it. But I don't know the answer, but you know what, let me make a phone call. Let me see if I know if somebody else is running into the issue. So it's kind of one of the things that I get really excited about as far as our training is because, you know, every day, as long as you learn something, because you don't know everything. And in this business, you're not going to know everything. Because again, like I said, it changes every day. This industry is growing every day. And there's just so much to share. But unless it comes up, how can you train on it?
Right.
And so that's kind of where I was going with that.
I want to get to a couple of comments. Steve Apicella, my good friend, he says, I hear a lot here about manual processing, emails, and paper documentation. How much simplified digital engagement exists between the service advisor / dealer and the factory warranty claims administrator? Or is the process the same as it's always been for decades? Are you seeing any digital transformation trends to improve the process? I love that.
That's a great question. And I'm telling you, we are paperless most of the time. Because our entire staff, we all work from home. We do not have a centralized office. I've got people in other states. I've got people and everybody's in a different city. And we do everything online. I haven't touched a hard copy in years. If you've got a great scanning program, then basically what happens is your cashiers go in, they scan everything into your scanning program. We can go into your scanning program, pull out all the documentation that we need because the factory still requires to attach copies of things. They may want to see copies. They want to see your copies of your punches. They want to see copies of the invoices. They want to see an actual hard copy with the CCR on it sometimes. So between scanning and going into your DMS, we can pull all the open RO reports through the DMS. And go that way. Like for instance, with CDK, you know, you've got the little flags on your SDL that you can do a different flag color for if a ticket's ready to close or if there's a problem with it. So you can use color coding on your open RO reports. There's so many ways to do it without actually having to touch the actual hard copy. So yes, there has been a big change, but sometimes the factory's still a little behind, which means even though we can go paperless, we still have to have access to the documentation that we need. So like I have passwords into ARMS for my dealers that have Enterprise. So I can pull the invoices from Enterprise all by myself. You know, like I said, the dealerships that we have that use scanning programs, we get access into their scanning program and I can pull a hard copy by myself, usually within 24 hours. So it does exist and it can happen. It just depends on how the dealerships are set up themselves. Again, it goes differently from dealer to dealer.
And DMS. And depending on the DMS, CDK we'll use as an example. Someone goes in there and makes some changes. They have to hit yes, the Y, to save and reprint. It's not necessarily going to print a copy, but it'll save in DSVA so that you can see the changes that were made each time the changes are made, as long as they hit yes. And that is a big, big training issue. But if you get into the habit of doing that, that works. Some of the other programs, I mean, across the board, like Cathy said, as long as they utilize their scanning system digitally, it saves time. So to answer the question again, yes, it works as well as the team allows it to work, as long as they work with it.
Now, you both mentioned scanning, and believe it or not, Not all stores are doing it. So I want to share something with you. If you haven't checked this out, it's well worth looking into.
Hey guys, this is Caesar. I'm at a GMC and Mazda dealer here in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And here's the problem that we solve. Boxes of repair orders and parts invoices. Rooms full of repair orders and all parts invoices. Can you imagine? Try to find a repair order in these file cabinets. It takes time. It takes you an hour to find just a repair order. We save the dealership time, money, and lots of space with our scanning station. This can go away. This will go away. I'm going to show you how we do this. And here's our scanning station, and I'm going to show you how easily to scan repair orders. You click on the scanning icon, brings up the repair order screen. Click on repair orders, click on scan repair orders, and we're going to scan 60 pages a minute, front and back, and we're going to read the repair order number off of the repair order. In this case, we're using the barcode technology. There's the arrow number's there, and you're done. This now has been converted to a PDF, and now anyone at the dealership can see the contents of the repair order. Pretty simple, easy to use. That's our scanning station.
So reach out to me if you'd like to learn more. Got a couple more comments. Martha Alvarado, good evening. And Mike Vogel says, Joe Chambers, since you're the FOD, that makes you the referee, doesn't it? And Jerry Davis says, Mike Vogel, you are so knowledgeable. Mike really is the coach.
Yeah.
Mike Vogel says, compliance is extremely important as well as getting those claims paid ASAP. Your warranty administration is a critical part of your business. Warranty admin should be treated like income taxes. You better have all your documentation and have all your ducks in a row. The OEMs are the IRS for your warranty claims. I got to put that up there.
That's good.
And I'll repeat that. The OEMs are the IRS for your warranty claims. Spot on, Mike. And Jerry Davis says, nothing like being in front of a situation instead of behind it. LinkedIn user says yes. So that's either going to be Melissa or Lamont. For some reason, they show up as LinkedIn users. Mark Williamson, how do you handle management auths after the fact that we all have that no one wants to admit? Good question.
That's an excellent question. Really, it depends on the manufacturer. I know with Toyota, we have the capability as warranty administrators of asking for authorization on things. Toyota's gotten a lot tighter on that though lately. We used to be able to play fast and loose with those authorizations, but now basically if you keep a good relationship with your factory rep, it's going to be a lot easier. Because they can forgive you sometimes in the back end and say, okay, well, you've been really good with this and really good with that, and your paperwork's really good, and I usually don't, your numbers are low, you're where you're supposed to be, so I'll let it go this time, but please, in the future, make sure you let us know what's going on. And yes, everybody has them. Nobody wants to admit. And sometimes what you have to do is make sure that, again, depending on the factory, if you can go below your self-authorization level, and in other words, make a dealer participation claim so that you can self-authorize and bring your numbers down, that's one way of handling that. It's not fun. Nobody wants to eat it. Nobody wants to get that, turn those dollars into internal, but sometimes that's the only way.
But also sometimes if you don't know, call your rep and ask. Either they're going to tell you, okay, send me an email so I know what's going on. I know to attach it, the RO number, the VIN, whatever the case may be, and they'll work with you most of the time. But if you keep calling them for the same thing over and over and over, after a while, they're going to say, yeah, no, I'm not going to help you with that. So that's my 2 cents on that as far as manufacturers across the board.
Yeah, most of the time the reps can be pretty reasonable if you keep the lines of communication open. And that's what every rep I've worked with in the Toyota and Lexus world, they say, if you just talk to me, if you just let me know what's going on and I'm not caught off guard, then I can work with you. So
Communication.
Communication. We're back to that again. Isn't that funny?
And relationships. Just as you build relationships with your customers, you build relationships with the factory, with the OEM, with the reps. It's a give and take. We're all in this together.
Yeah.
And it shouldn't be an us or them, right? We can help each other in so many ways.
Yes.
Yes, totally agree.
We're going to run a little bit over because we've got a few more things that we want to get covered here. So just everybody stay tuned. Tom Raymer is a plug for a company called Sales Catcher. You can take a look at that in the thread. Joe Chambers says, great show all, thanks. And Steve Apicella says, scanning a document makes it easier and paperless for you, but it's still a paper document to a scanner for the dealer. Seems like there is still a digital process improvement waiting for the dealer and the factory. Just an observation. You're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
Now, I have worked with a dealer that's completely paperless. And part
is
of
there such a thing?
Yeah, there is such a thing. And the funny thing was, the biggest issue they were having with it is that they only wanted to have the customer sign once on the RO. But if the RO was multiple pages, technically, according to policy, you have to sign every page of the RO. And that's the only problem they ran into with it. Other than that, everything they're doing is completely digital, and they're going through Reynolds and Reynolds to do it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Kurt Von Annen, I am super late, but hello to the panel. Hey, welcome, Kurt. You're never late. It's on the internet. It lives on. A lot of people watch it on the replay because I'll get comments or questions 45 minutes into an hour plus show. Maxwell Aggie Consultant says hi. Hi.
Hi.
Eric says, great show. And Mark Williamson, how often do you take a factory rep to lunch? Just asking for a friend.
Every single time.
That's a good one, man. Mike Vogel, Mark Williamson, every time they visit your store. Kurt Von Ahn and Mark Williamson, the trick is knowing the relationship the rep has with their management. Key, spot on. Talk to us about eliminate payroll costs.
Yeah, that's one of the
payroll. That's like one of the highest costs a dealer incurs, right?
Yes, it is, because when you're talking payroll, you're talking about matching payroll taxes, unemployment insurance, health benefits, vacation time, sick time. So all those
slip and falls in winter.
Exactly. So basically all those costs, when you hire someone to be your warranty administrator, that all has to be built into your costs. So yeah, you can say, well, I pay my warranty administrator $48,000 a year. No, you don't. You pay your warranty administrator a lot more than $48,000 a year, because if you're giving them vacation time, if you're giving them sick days, if you're giving them medical leave, if you're giving them insurance benefits, if you're giving them a 401k, all that's all money right there. So if you have someone like us come in, we only charge when we do the full service and not just training gigs. We only charge based on what we get paid for the dealership. So if I close an RO in August, but it doesn't pay till September, it's going to be on the September billing, not the August billing. So we don't make money unless you make money. If I'm sick, I've got someone to cover my desk. So you're not having to worry about having someone not there. You're not going to have to worry about someone be missing month end because they suddenly got COVID or anything else. So
temporary coverage in case someone goes out on medical leave.
Yeah,
they can hire us for that.
So
go ahead.
Temporary coverage that you don't have to train.
Yes.
Somebody that can step in and take the reins.
And that's something we've actually done a lot more of in the last year than we'd ever done before. We filled in for someone on maternity leave. We filled in for someone who they had to hire a new person, but they wanted to get them trained before they got them on the desk. So they hired us to fill in for a couple of months. We filled in for someone who was out on medical leave. And we've done it. We fill in for people who are on vacation. So we've had gigs that were as short as a week and as long as 6 months. And we're very flexible because, as Elenour said earlier, what Joe down the street needs is going to be different than what Paul needs here. So we try to tailor our programs and our services to each dealership in a way that works for them. And yeah, I just saw Mike Vogel's note. That's how I met Mike the first time, was I was filling in for his then warranty admin, and they were stressed. They were so freaked out. How's it going to work? And blah, blah, blah. And his admin came back from vacation and went, wow, that was great. So,
I want to add to that. Okay. Stress is like a major killer in so many ways. We all know in our business that when you go on vacation, whether it's a week, 10 days, 2 weeks, we all know, and we've grown accustomed to knowing that when we get back, we may have been out of the store for that amount of time, but guess what? That amount of work is still waiting for you in most cases. So now you end up spending so much extra time, so much stress to get caught up on stuff while you are out enjoying the beach or the slopes. You come back from, could you imagine coming back from vacation and having all of your stuff done for you? How happy would you be?
You were enjoying the beach because in the back of your mind, you were thinking, oh my God, I got to get back and I got to do this. And I've got to make sure I get that done before, oh wait, I missed the payroll. And then I've got to make sure, I'm 3 days before month end. Yeah, no.
Yeah, I mean,
that's not real. But if someone you trust actually covers your desk and you come back and you've got maybe 10 to 15 tickets that were a little iffy, and it was something that you started before you left, I might just go ahead and leave you detailed information of what I thought was going to happen but didn't happen. You're going to probably have to contact the rep. But I would rather come back to 10 to 15 ROs.
Oh, yeah.
Than 150, 200.
Yeah.
It's not unheard of. It happens. Some that are missing body shop claims. Those are the best. Paint claims. Those are the best. I don't care what manufacturer you are. Those are the best. And I say that with sincerity.
Oh, yeah.
All right. We got Anthony Santangelo tuned in. Hey, how are you, Anthony? Anthony was on the show recently. And Mike Vogel says that was her first vacation in 5 years. She was so thankful for Cathy and myself for making it happen. Right? I mean, you want to treat you want your employee, you want your customers to be treated well. Treat your employees well.
Yeah.
Look out for them in all areas, but most importantly, when they're going to enjoy a vacation, let them enjoy it so that when they come back, they're not stressing about all the stuff they are behind on. Mark Williamson says, DM me because I have 2 warranty admins that I pay a lot more than $48K per year. Every market is different, Mark. Every market is different. Talk to us about weekly schedule reconciliation / outstanding dollars.
That is my thing. That's my thing. If you can work your schedules, your warranty receivable schedules, I don't care what car line it is, as long as you can touch them once a week. It's not always realistic because of deadlines. But if you are doing it at least every other week, right before month end, because accounting month end, they're not going to want you to be putting money in the wrong month. If you can stay on top of your reconciliation once a week, is ideal. But again, it's not realistic all the time. It just depends on how large the volume of the store or the dealership or the claims. But if you do it bi-weekly and you can catch those oil differences and you can catch those rentals that weren't submitted, you still get under the time frame, depending on the manufacturer, of less than 30 days, less than 60 days, about getting a continuation claim or submitting an add-on claim or whatever the case may be. Toyota's not as forgiving as some of the other manufacturers. But that helps also, because then you start your month in the forward and not cleaning up last month's mess because you didn't touch the schedule at all. So, right. Or you have an outstanding balance sitting on the schedule. Oh, that's because line B was closed to 0. Let me see what it was supposed to be, because the copy I received didn't have anything. Go into DSDA or go into the scanning system and you find the RO. Oh, it was a recall. They did a reflash, or they did a reprogram, or on this recall, they had to do the replacement part. And there's punch time there. But on the copy that I received, it was a pre-invoiced copy. It wasn't a final copy. So I can get that submitted in a timely manner, get those dollars collected, and not have to write it off.
Write off.
Write off.
Money.
Nobody likes to lose money. I don't care who you are, what you are, what industry you're in. If we could collect as much as we can, because we do it properly from the very beginning and save time along the way, that's gold. That's gold. And it keeps the dealerships happy, because you're not messing with the cost, cost of sale. And parts and service aren't fighting over, well, service didn't do this and parts didn't do that, so we're going to split it down the middle. No, I'm not going to split it down the middle, says the parts department, because it's the service department that did it. So again, I go back to outstanding dollars sitting on the schedule, claims that were missed, that could have been submitted, that could have been paid. And it's because you managed to at least touch your schedule every 2 weeks is a good goal. Weekly, after you pre-post your statement, depending on if it's a weekly statement, if it's a daily statement, depending on the manufacturer, if it comes out on Wednesday, if it comes on bi-weekly, it just all depends. If you can touch your schedule, at least your warranty receivable schedules, at least twice a month, that's gold, because then you're catching dollars and getting them paid instead of writing them off.
Yeah.
And there's always so much stuff that happens, right? These are best practices that are really pretty basic, because if you stay on top of the paperwork, then as these things come up, now you're not stressed out about having to focus on so many things. You're able to focus your attention on those anomalies that pop up now and then, as opposed to month end being the same stress ball that a lot of people are.
Month end, you're not thinking about a schedule unless you're me trying to get your adjustments in on time to the business office or get those posted in the correct month. Because month end, you're thinking about getting everything closed for that particular month. And then next day you've got one eye open and you're just submitting like crazy to try to get in before submission cutoff. So again, those outstanding dollars, and that's when you catch it. That's when you catch those extra dollars that are just additional gold, that are just sitting out there waiting, saying, here I am.
We have to do it more with less. Why not focus on all of the finer points? Bring in the specialists that we need to help us catch all those things. Too often we step over dollars to pick up pennies.
Yes.
Right? Let's stop the madness. Let's bring in the help that we need to be able to catch all those things that we're missing. I mean, it just makes sense. But the bottom line is accountability.
Accountability. And I will say that till the day I die.
Yes. Yes.
Accountability is the big thing. It's making sure that everyone understands that they are responsible for their own actions. And it goes kind of back to what we were talking about in the beginning, where you're working with a team. Everybody needs to be a part of the team. But if you take ownership of your work, if you take ownership of and understand what your job description is, and you hold yourself accountable to a high standard, then it helps everybody. And you'll have a warranty administrator who's dancing instead of crying every month end, trying to figure out how they're going to get everything done by midnight. So, you want to make sure that you're holding your entire service department and your entire parts department and your business office. They need to be accountable for what they're doing. They need to understand how what they do causes a domino effect. And so if parts does it right and service does it right and everybody does it right, then the claims are going to get paid faster. The dealership's going to get the money faster. The books are going to be cleaner. The business manager is going to be happy. The GM's going to do their monthly management meeting and go, "Oh, you guys are perfect. Thank you so much." And your warranty administrator is going to be relieved because there's not a huge schedule with all these dollars outstanding that nobody is touching. So,
and the dealer is happy.
And the dealer's happy. The owner's doing a dance, going, "Oh, look at how much money I made this month in warranty. Woo!" So, that is the key, I think, with your management, is to make sure that everybody understands that they are accountable to themselves and to their teammates. Everybody helps each other out. Accountability. That's our big thing.
Mark Williamson better be hitting the 26,300 schedule at least every week, or I'm nervous.
Can I get an amen?
Yeah. What we do is when we post with Elenour.
That's warranty, baby, all day.
Yeah. And when Elenour and her team who handle the statements and the schedules, when they post that statement every week, they run a schedule, or they call me and they say, "Okay," or email me and say, "Okay, I posted the schedule or the statement," and then I can run the schedule and I can be accountable as well. So each of my team members understands that they're accountable to the schedule as well. And we try and pay as much attention to it as we can, so that we don't miss things, that we don't, because sometimes the interfaces in the systems, not all the rows transfer over from the DMS into the interfaces in the systems. So we keep an eye on that schedule and make sure that we're not missing things. Because it happens a lot where it doesn't transfer over. So we have to keep an eye on those.
Well, wow. I mean, we've covered so much here tonight that it should give everybody a little something that they could take away from, because we really covered from A to Z the best practices on warranty. I've tagged you guys in the posts. So anybody out there that has questions, by all means, if you're not connected with Cathy and Elenour, connect with them. Mike Vogel, a well-respected fixed ops brother of mine who knows his stuff, has known these ladies for many years, and they've done a lot of good work together. So at the very least, have a conversation.
Yeah.
You don't know what you don't know until you have a conversation, and you'd be surprised what nuggets of information come out of a basic conversation with somebody. I learned so much from people. We connect on LinkedIn, and then some of those people we're able to get on the phone with. We learn a little bit about what the other does, not to try to pitch or sell each other, but to just learn, because at some point, hey, you know what? I don't know this, but I remember Elenour and Cathy, they were talking about this particular thing. Let me reach out to them. Let me find out. So I want to thank you guys so much for coming on the show. This has been fabulous. I really enjoyed this.
Thank you. We've had fun.
Thank you for having us, Paul. We
And I
appreciate
want
it.
to thank the audience that was here today. And I want to thank the audience that will watch it on the replay. It means a lot to me that you guys support the show. I hope you have a safe and successful week next week. And we'll see you next week on Sunday Night Live.